We are back here on Talk Radio 102.3. This is Yaffee Live. You can always catch this show 1 to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday right here on the Talk Monster. And Thursdays, we always speak with someone with the Tennessee Conservative, which you can read every day at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Joining us today, reporter and Yaffee Live fill-in host, Olivia Lupia with the Tennessee Conservative. Olivia, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing good. Thanks again for filling in for me yesterday. Hopefully Max didn't give you too much trouble.
I think I probably give him much more trouble than he gives me. So hopefully,
Okay, good.
Hopefully Max didn't report back and say don't let her come on anymore.
Listen, you're much better than the other two guys I have to work with every day.
Okay. All right, so let's get to some of these stories here. You have a story, and I'm just going to read the headline. It says, have you been flocked by the 1,000 of automatic license plate readers in Tennessee? So I know you guys have been talking about that.
Yeah, I think it's become a big topic. I mean, all across the state and even nationally, we're seeing a huge conversation around these ALPRs, which when we say have you been flocked, obviously the big brand name is Flock. There are other brands, but they're kind of the biggest and the most notorious, I think, at this point. But there are literally hundreds of thousands of these across the nation, over at minimum that they know of, based on like some open source databases, which is volunteers using public data and release records to compile and tag these cameras where they see them. There's at least over like 3,200 or more. Like that's the bare minimum. Across 205 Tennessee cities and towns. So they're here. So if people think, oh, that's, they're not here, Tennessee doesn't really use them, that's not true at all. And there's an interesting new site called Have I Been Flocked, which allows an individual to actually enter a license plate number. So if you're like, hey, I wonder if the police have searched my license plate number after it's been captured on a flock camera, you can put it in and it'll tell you whether or not your vehicle has been searched for.
Oh, but it doesn't give me like a picture? It just...
I have no idea. I'm a little bit scared to try mine, honestly. I mean, not that I've done anything bad, but
What amazes me is people are afraid of having their information given, yet they're entering it into the computer now.
Right. Yeah.
Right. It's like I don't know. It's interesting though, but it does go to show you that these records, you don't have to be a suspect of a crime in order for law enforcement to have searched your information or to be capturing it. So that's a little bit of a dicey area. And I think that's where a lot of people's hesitations with these are, which I understand, because what's the line between just assuming everyone is guilty and tracking everyone's movements versus using targeted approaches? So that's kind of where there's a lot of pushback coming from. Some Tennessee municipalities are ending their programs based on these and seeing violations. And this didn't happen here, but there was a town in California that canceled their contracts. And like California loves to be the nanny state. So it was surprising to hear that. But basically because they found out that even though Flock says the towns own the data, they don't. It's all stored on the Flock servers. Flock has access to it all, and they can toggle on and off switches that allow other databases or other agencies to get to that data. Including federal ones, without permission, without warrants, all that. So it's a tricky situation for sure.
I would just, I got a newer car recently, and I was like, oh, I want to see my car on the road. I was hoping there'd be a picture or something, but I guess not. But yeah, people can go to the website. Have I Been Flocked? I guess it's, I don't know. What is it? Yeah, it's just haveibeenflocked.com. That's the website.
I think, yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Easy. So if you want to throw your license plate up there and see what comes back, more power to you. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know.
All right. So you have a story here as well about property tax hikes. According to the Beacon Center, there's a report that shows Tennessee leads the nation in property tax raises. Talk about that.
Yeah, big deal. Not surprising probably to a lot of us who have been living here and be like, yes, my taxes have gone up. Yes, I've been getting a huge tax bill every year, a new tax bill. But the Beacon Center of Tennessee, which is, they're a nonpartisan, focus on economic, kind of a think tank, focus on the economy. They pulled data across the last 6 years that was tracking property tax increases. And Tennessee over the last 6 years has seen an over 75% increase overall, which makes it the highest percentage increase of any state in double digits over the next closest state, which was Colorado. I think Colorado had risen like up to 50%, and Tennessee is over 75%. So that's a huge discrepancy. And the report acknowledges that, Tennessee doesn't have an income tax. It has cut taxes for small businesses in some ways, and, it puts this reputation out for fiscal restraint, quote unquote, whatever that means. I'm not sure how giving $30 million to Starbucks is fiscally responsible or showing restraint, but those weren't my words.
Yeah.
But it says that when you scratch the surface, local governments have used, quote, unrestrained ability to hike property taxes year after year, which is true. Again, it's the local governments who are seeing putting those taxes in place, and they choose to do that. And because Tennessee doesn't have a property tax cap, there's no limit to how often or how much they can do that. So I would guess that the legislature kind of tried to sort of address it. A few lawmakers last year, and it didn't really get any traction, but that might change this year because finally the business owners are getting involved, and the big Broadway bar and restaurant owners are putting some pressure on the legislature to deal with it. So we'll see how that winds up in 27 when they get back to the state house. But I think we're going to see something happen with that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if we could go to Florida, like what they're doing. I mean, not go to Florida, but like follow Florida's example where they just want to get rid of most of the property taxes. Don't think that's going to happen. But it is true that, a lot of people, they've been in their houses for years. They haven't done anything, yet their taxes go up substantially because, economic growth. So housing values go up, which is a good thing. But, man, to really take it to the current homeowners through taxes, I could understand why lawmakers might be facing some pressure to deal with this. Definitely.
And I can't say what the perfect solution is. I'm not well-versed enough in this issue to say, well, here's what exact solution we should have. But obviously what we're doing isn't working for the citizen, the resident, and that's what needs to come first. So we need to something has to give, I think. So it'll be interesting to see where we land or what direction that starts heading in the next couple months.
Speaking with Olivia Lupia, she is with the Tennessee Conservative. Another story here, former Nashville teachers claim that Metro schools and the administration directed them to change failing students' grades. And this is after an award-winning former teacher resigned because of this. I actually played some audio of that, I believe last week on the show, where she was talking about that, said kids can't read, they can't do math. I'm not going to lower their grades, to make the parents happy or something. It's not the job of the teacher to do that. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think what's even wilder is that this was an art teacher. And I'm not at all saying, oh, well, she's not a real teacher. Not at all. I'm just saying the fact that this is coming from an art teacher who's acknowledging, they can't even read or do math or do any of this. And she's being pressured by the administration because a student refused to complete a deadline for an art project. I mean, that's how draconian, I think, is this idea that they're trying to cook the books, in essence, to make their statistics look better, or to make their, to be able to say, oh, the school district's performing a certain way. And they're even putting the pressure on art teachers to the extent where it's forcing them to resign. These teachers who are beloved and obviously are well respected within their educational circles, for whatever that's worth. I think it just goes to show you that things are not going well in the Tennessee public schools. And that's, again, we're seeing that in literacy rates with the standardized testing, the TCAP reports and things that come out like that every year, where we're not making any gains. And now I even have to question, what are those statistics even accurate? Because if we're forcing teachers to change grades, which is putting people in different classes or different scenarios or different rankings, how accurate are we even doing as well, quote, and well is a very generous statement, as the state would have you believe. So it's a very serious thing. And I think her bigger point was the fact that we allow these kids to whine and cheat and bully their way through school, in essence, or these parents, And what kind of future is that setting up for these kids outside of school? These are supposed to be future doctors or politicians or whatever. And we're sending them into the arena thinking that this is the way that life works and that they can get what they want through these measures, or that someone's going to come in and save the day. So that's a very dangerous precedent to be setting. Absolutely.
Yeah. Although you're talking about future politicians, if you can't do math, apparently that's fine when it comes to our politicians.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they'll fit right in. They'll fit right in.
I was going to say, I don't even know that reading is a qualification anymore. So
Exactly. Olivia Lupia with the Tennessee Conservative. Speaking of what's going on in schools, this is actually good news here. School districts across the state are limiting laptop use as a new law goes into effect.
Yeah, I think this is a great policy, actually. The bill passed last year just really kind of encouraged schools to say, hey, for kids K through 5, it really should apply to everything. But this is what I believe it was Michelle Renaud who worked on this bill. That's kind of the compromise she was able to kind of work out with all of the parties. That says that schools really need to focus on physical teaching, physical materials over laptop usage, just because there's so much science that proves physical reading, physical writing, instruction, teacher-led instruction, where your teacher's actually writing on the whiteboard or reading aloud from a textbook. Or I'm old enough to remember the overhead projector days, where your teacher would whip out the slides and do all that stuff. So there's a lot of scientific evidence that shows when kids are not getting all of those stimuli and the physical and basically living in the real world is what in essence this is, it hinders their development, and that just sticking them in front of a screen causes a whole lot of developmental issues down the line. And I see that with adults. You see adults who you think are reasonable people, and then they spend all their time, on their phone, and we come out stupider on the other hand, or staring at a laptop all day. It's very different. So this legislation just puts emphasis on prioritizing that. And a lot of the school districts, I think, are doing a pretty good job of working that in and starting to find balance. Some are saying they're not doing any laptop learning and they're not doing any laptop assignments at home. And others are trying to, find a balance. Some of them said they're trying to use electronic teaching to meet state standards. I'm like, okay, but the last time I checked, you didn't take the SAT or even state standardized testing on a tablet. I don't know, things could change now. It's been a while since I've been in elementary school, but I think it's a great first step. It needs to go further, but absolutely the way to go. Because like you said, kids can't even read. So at least let's put a real book in front of them and start there.
Yeah. What a thought. Oh, we need to teach kids to read? How about we give them books? Oh, gee.
I know. See, look at us. We're just cleaning up. We're solving all the problems. We're doing it. Who would have thought?
One more story here. You have a story about the potential budget challenges for Tennessee's next governor, which it looks like it's going to be Marsha Blackburn. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's some very interesting things when they talk about budget challenges, because on the one hand, we're saying we've had an ever increasing budget over the last year, but then we have surpluses in billions of dollars. So you're either taxing me too much or we don't have enough money. Which one is it? And there's a lot of inflationary costs and things like that. And that's true. Obviously, we've seen inflation has really post-COVID inflation has been, I think, one of the biggest enemies of the economy, obviously.
Yep.
But we do have a growing pot of money, which has allowed Governor Lee and, the lawmakers to use that cash for large-scale infrastructure projects, some tax relief here and there. Again, I don't consider it a good use of money when we're giving corporate welfare away to corporations like Starbucks and Oracle and all that. But they didn't ask me. But there's also going to be potential challenges because of the federal SNAP changes to the nutritional supplemental programs. So because the federal government is cutting back so much on that, which I believe is absolutely the right call. And then, they did this terrible thing like putting working requirements in. You can't just collect free government money. You have to do something.
How dare them?
I know. How dare we? How dare we? It is. It's just amazing. It's amazing the audacity of the government sometimes to put in place. So Tennessee may have to make up some of the deficits for that funding. And again, I have a very conservative opinion on SNAP and those kind of welfare programs anyway. So I personally don't think we need to be spending as much as we are even in state in Tennessee, but I don't get invited to the budget meetings. They didn't ask me. So it'll be interesting to just see because about 51% of the funding for Tennessee's portion of the supplemental programs comes from our state budget. So I'm not sure how much they're going to have to try and make up. I did read another article somewhere that talked about how we do have this huge surplus of money sitting around. And I was like, okay, well then I'm paying too much in taxes. Like I said, where are we really standing? Do we have a surplus? Do we not have enough money? The budget is growing, but the legislature said this past year they passed what they called a conservative budget because it was down by 9% compared to like the year before. And then they're also saying, our budget has to shrink because we're running out of the federal COVID. There's a lot of federal COVID money that's expiring. Which I'm like, well, but why are we building a budget around that? That wasn't supposed to be a long-term, situation. So
exactly.
It'll just be interesting. The education lottery is apparently running out of money thanks to sports betting. I don't know. It's a mess. So yeah, I think overall there are potential budget challenges for the next governor. Yeah. So it'll be very interesting to see how she handles it.
Yeah, Olivia Lupia with the Tennessee Conservative. Read this stuff at TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Olivia, really appreciate it. As always, I know we'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.